It may be presumptuous to say that Incredibles is the best Pixar film. However, I have probably heard more people say that Incredibles is their favorite film more than any other. It's not mine, but I perfectly understand why. The Incredibles is a spectacular, thought-provoking, impeccably scripted, astoundingly directed, stylish superhero subversion action film that fans have been salivating for a sequel since the minute it ended. And finally, 14 years later, the sequel is pretty good. Not great, it's pretty good. It's worth a trip to the theater, it's a ton of fun, especially to see these characters again. It's just not the awe-inspiring experience that the first one is. And that's my quick take before we get into more details in case you're worried about even mild spoilers. Overall, Incredibles 2 does feel like the natural follow-up in terms of picking up the open-ended story points of the first, with the Incredibles' house destroyed, the baby developing powers, and battling the Underminer. Only now they flip the roles of the parents from the first one, with Elastigirl taking on more hero work and Bob interacting with the kids more. I do like that decision. I just kinda wish they hadn't taken those cues so literally. At least they had a believable, grounded reason for giving Elastigirl the spotlight instead of Bob, given that one of them was more eager to resume hero work than the other one. When the main three heroes are called in by a billionaire hero fanatic about the proper strategy to re-legalize heroes, because the initial pushback was about collateral damage, to get the public on their side, they should initially push Elastigirl, because her quirk, power, causes the least of it. And Elastigirl rules in this film. The action sequences are creative, suspenseful, and exciting. One fight is so close quarters that it's physically uncomfortable, and her motorcycle can actually come apart if she needs to stretch while driving, which is so cool. I had to have a moment when the motorcycle crashed. While Bob, struggling to take care of the kids, is the big man struggling to take care of kids trope. Really? Is this still considered funny in 2018? I am glad that there is an understandable personal mental block for why he finds this so frustrating, aside from why does my wife get to be the cool superhero and not me. I am glad that there's more interactions between Bob and the kids, which was missing from the first one, and every time we see a dad just doing normal dad stuff adds to the effort of combating the plague that is the terrible animated dad trope. But I still kinda wondered why we needed long stretches of this in a superhero movie. If they needed Bob bonds with kids scenes, they could have had Bob train the kids. But then again, there's a whole training kids to go fight and put themselves in danger thing. I get how that's kind of a gray area. Still, in the first one, Helen's scenes with the kids weren't all homebound, they did power stuff. Here's one thing I didn't think would happen in this film. The struggling to take care of a baby cliche, even a super-powered baby, has been done in animation a lot. And there were times during this film that I found myself thinking, hey, can we go back to the superpowered baby antics? I'd much rather be dealing with that than Violet and her not boyfriend problem that they were spending an oddly long amount of time on for some reason that I don't know. At least the baby scenes were funny, and there's this raccoon incident that's amazing, and it feels in place in a superhero movie. But the key problem with Bob's stay-at-home dad routine is that nothing that happens in these sections of the movie ever contributes to what's going on in the main story. You'd think having a baby with 2,000 quirks, powers, would do something to upset the legalization cause, but nope. The superpowered baby thing is just for gags. It doesn't cause a major incident, no one's worried about their safety, the villain doesn't even want to study why this baby specifically has so many quirks. Powers! Okay, I'm sorry. It is really hard not to think of My Hero Academia right now. For one, because it's basically taken over the anime world for the past several years. For a reason, because it's really good. And it's not hard to think of the Incredibles world being the prelude to the Hiroaka universe. I'm sure I'm the only one who's thought of that. However, also because the motivation of the villain in this film seems to have been loosely borrowed from the ideals of Hiroaka's League of Villains. Well, one of them anyway. There's a bunch of characters in there and all with their own stuff going on. But that's a big reason for why My Hero Academia has gotten so huge. Aside from its very charismatic, very likable, very interesting cast, Hero Academia continuously raises various questions and philosophies on what it takes to be a hero. What is a hero's impact on society? How does that society impact hero work and crime? How does this world adapt when 80% of the population is born with powers? And also animal heads, which are apparently not quirks, so that's a little confusing. But the world it creates and the ideas that it raises are so fascinating. And that's the other thing that's kind of missing in Incredibles 2. It doesn't raise any interesting questions or have any central theme or philosophy. The first Incredibles is dominated by multiple conversations about the nature of superheroes versus normal people, the if everyone's special then no one is. Now the villain in this film, which first of all, Disney, are twist villains holding your families hostage? You can tell us. Anyway, the villain's motivation is a potentially interesting hero universe idea, but after the villain's explanation, it doesn't come up again and it's not reinforced by any other examples. Helen and Bob argue briefly about helping versus following the law, and that doesn't go anywhere. As said, the entire thing is that they're trying to make hero work legal again, but that all goes way too smoothly, because nearly everyone they talk to is totally on board with that idea. The public is on their side, world leaders are on their side, the media is on their side. Wow! Why ever did heroes go away in the first place? They desperately needed a stronger ideological opposition to fight against. Not just 2 cops in the first 10 minutes and this one person. Now, it's true that films don't need to be about something in order to be good. However, a consistent theme does make a story feel more cohesive. And in a superhero-dominated pop culture, even just in the past 2 months, having a little bit of a different take helps to stand out. Then again, Incredibles does still have its most important attribute, the superhero family, and that will always make it unique because Lord knows there won't be a good Fantastic Four movie made ever. It is really easy to compare this to the first and find it lacking because the first just is that good. And even for a sequel that was probably made because the fans and the higher-ups wanted it and not because they had a solid story idea for it, on its own, it is still really enjoyable. I love that Helen and Bob at least feel a little bit more like a real team in this one. The kids get some time to do their own stuff. Why did it take Pixar this long to do something interesting with their freaking lamp logo? As usual, there's a really cute short at the front. The action is superb. There's some excellent dialogue exchanges in this film, and the updated character animation is fantastic. Except that for some reason, Violet has these very defined wrinkles, but not Elastigirl. Is that because elastic? Oh, and of course, Edna is back. So yeah, I still really enjoyed it. The only itch in the back of my brain is the thought that maybe some parents thought that the first one wasn't family appropriate enough, so this one was deliberately planned to be simpler. That's what Cars is for, Pixar, and we're done with that. I technically could have counted My Hero Academia for my recommendation quota, and seriously, if you have not checked it out, I really suggest that you try at least the first 2 episodes for free on Crunchyroll and just see how you feel about it. But I've also been wanting to recommend a particular thing for a while, especially before Netflix gets rid of it. The Long Long Holiday is a French-made miniseries about a group of kids growing up in the French countryside over the course of gradual German occupation in World War II. Oh yes, we've shifted the tone here very drastically. What starts out as a very charming slice of life, over the course of several years, the war grows ever closer and closer to the village until it lands right on top of them, and the children are given opportunities to do something useful and proactive. And it is really good. I remember initially only wanting to check it out, and before I knew it, I had binged the entire 5 hours. It plays a lot more out like a kid's adventure movie with substance than a depressing war movie. So tell me what you guys thought of Incredibles 2. Comment, like, subscribe, etc. And you stay incredibly shiny, Animaniacs.
Free verse in my mind, between the silver line, my heart's in the sky. Through the darkest night, let's run till the dawn's first light.